Hey, this is Final here. With all this state government spending here in America, it affects careers on many different levels. And for schools and students, it's affecting futures and the level of interest people have in going to college in the future as well. As things go on with the service packages and government spending, the schools are getting less money. And because the schools are working off such little to work with and they can't really raise their policies and afford to lose students, the academic involvement is dwindling down. If you're a parent out there, when was the last time you saw your kid out there raising money for the school? It's very rare, and I'm sure there's somebody who is listening that does have that. But with over 1 million students that are high school dropouts in America who don't get to graduate with their peers or their friends or develop any of those fundamental skills when you go to a public school, that causes other teaching groups to constantly start changing their regulations. So taking that there's about 1.5 million students in America, having about 70% of them drop out of high school, results from mostly the minority groups. Half of them, at least. Half of the people dropping out are minority. African American, Hispanic, just really any sort of minority in general. And most of this is only happening because these are people who come to America and don't have enough money to do anything. Their parents are both working like 2 or 3 jobs just to keep the kid alive. And the kid has to go out there and start working and later get their GED, and then later on, when things start to level out, they have to become a reoccurring student. And these are the same type of students that, when they go to college, are the ones who get deferred loans, the ones who can't pay it off once they get it. Once they get out, they get in trouble within a couple of years, year or two. Which you think would spring forth some new sort of regulation for the colleges, but really it attracts more attention to Capitol Hill and the financial aid systems like William D. Ford's Federal Direct Loan Program, that rather than going through the private lenders back in the old days, who could just adjust rates on an arm, like the arm rates for housing. It's the same deal, the private lenders could do anything. Now that we have these government programs doing this, it's just more money that we have to spend to keep people at the colleges, who work at the colleges, in a sort of check where all the finances of the students are being regulated, rather than the college doing all the work. And such eligibility is very irregular. It's difficult because now we have a chain effect where we ended up having something. We started out with schools not having enough money. That happened because the government's spending too much money. And the government's spending a lot of money to fix problems, to organize loans and such, that ultimately will have to be put on to the college's responsibilities. And all this is just constantly causing change that could easily be fixed and properly skewed right from the get-go, right from high school. It's ultimately bad parenting in some cases that has even led to the amount of violence and the emotional distress of students who don't know what to do with their lives. Because that's the other percentage of kids who drop out. The other percentage is the ones that are too lazy. That's the other 50%. Only 50% are the minorities. Only 50% are the people who can't afford it. The other half is the fact that Americans are so damn lazy. People that have been here, who have been part of society, and their parents just don't give a crap no more. The strict parenting policies are gone. And so I say schools need to be more strict. That's where I'm getting at. I'm getting at that schools need to make some major changes to get the students more academically involved. I mean, don't they want money? Don't they want more money? And if they get the students to get more academically involved, they can get more money. They can get more popularity. They can get their word out better. Certainly colleges like MIT, who have a deferred rate of only like 2% of defaulted loans, certainly don't want to have to start dwindling down their amount of students to the point where they're forced to take non-traditional students. Students who dropped out of college or are reoccurring students in college who already went to college and they've changed their mind. But how? How can high schools change something that operates on a national level? Well, it only takes a small seed to start a chain of an avalanche. To get the kids more guidance, really, it'd be really easy to just post up, give them projects, and have them post up things around the school for counseling. Because no matter what kind of distress the student is going through, whether they don't feel like they're really interested in learning about subjects that they may not have to work with for the rest of their lives, or having a situation at home that they just can't even get to school. All schools have guidance and counseling, but a lot of the students, when they make decisions, they don't think about going to the counselor because their parents didn't raise them to think like that. Because unfortunately, we're in a society where things are starting to move towards the I don't give a shit side. But it's like subliminal messaging. If they took every morning and every afternoon and in the middle of the day, they had a news bulletin of sort of things that the students could do today, time management. They could announce a specific time of when a student can go ahead and come to the cafeteria for making the counselor banner, and go ahead and post up all kinds of signs and stuff that remind students that if you have a problem or something, we have counselors here. We have people wanting to listen who are here. That's their job. They're getting paid to listen to you. You might as well as utilize a free boat right here, you know. And so you'll be giving them visual references and aids all around the school, and you'll be giving them vocal ones that will lead them into walking into the guidance office every now and then to help figure out what they want to do with their lives, or what kind of problem they're going through. And even furthermore, even if they don't end up doing anything, even if whatever problem that's going on at home stays a problem, or if they don't end up going to college, or if they do end up dropping out, you'll still have that, not literally subliminal, but you'll have worked your way, your thought that it's good to have counselors, it's good to talk about your problems. Then they will automatically go seek help, or they'll be more likely to go to a friend and seek help and use more communication skills to try to get ahead in life. Because what does everybody really want? Money. Everybody wants more money. But what's the biggest problem? Lack of guidance. Lack of hearsay of how or what to do. I gotta tell you, when I went to Broward College, I was so lost. It was a community college, and I was just so lost because they were so helpless. They were useless. They'd give me something to do, and by the time I started doing it, something would happen to the program or something, or to the internet, or a situation, or they'd tell me, okay, go do this, that, and the other thing, and a problem would arise, and there'd be nothing I could do about it. And I didn't know what the heck to do, and I didn't really give a shit. I'm part of that. I don't give a shit. I didn't want to go back to the college. I didn't want to have to get off of work after a long day of work, change clothes, and go to a college and start asking them, okay, I don't understand what the hell I did wrong. Can't you get your shit together? I didn't want to have to do that. But then I started going to Phoenix University, and at Phoenix, they're constantly calling me, and I love it. I never miss anything. And their website, it's so up to date, and it's always so quick. There's nothing I'm missing. There's nothing I don't understand. They even tell me the stuff that I don't even think about. It's like, well, have you signed up for this, that, and the other thing? Because you need to. And I was like, really? I need to? And they'll say, yeah, well, you need it for this, and etc. And when they do that, it makes my job so much easier at work, and makes my life easier. And high schools need to be the same way. They need to start getting on it. They need to start communicating with the students better. I understand there's a lot of students in there, but come on. You want to make more money? Then you got to get these students out the door smarter. With more expectations. You got to give these kids higher expectations. If they don't have higher expectations, why bother going to college? Why bother caring? Yeah, your parents might become my parents might become homeless. I don't care. I'll work at Publix for the rest of my life. That's what they'll think. Man, the counselors that went back when I was going to high school, they sat around just answering phones all day. And you know what? I used to ask them, how come you're always on the phone? And it's mostly because of those reoccurring type of people who constantly have to come back needing more information. And if you had handled the student when they were there, they wouldn't be reoccurring. Their hands wouldn't be full with phone calls, full of students who are asking them questions about college when they're high school counselor, okay? That's the college. That's something that the counselor should have got into when they were there. They should have already known that before they walked out the door. I mean, I don't want to go into personal about someone I know, but somebody that I work with, he had a very difficult life. And a lot of it was because he made it difficult for himself. And he made it difficult for himself because that's the way he saw it as normal. But when he got older, he started to realize that when he started talking about things, and just when he started to discuss things would become more clearer. And he'd stop doing things like getting into fights. And he'd start being more self-conscious about himself. And when you're more self-conscious about yourself, you care more about where you're going in life. I mean, don't you want your children to give a shit about who they're going to be and not want to be a bum living on the street, or someone who is so careless to just up and move to a different state because they're anxious to get out of the house because their parents are always beating down on them, not being their homies? Well, the parents need to be more strict. And the colleges, Well, the parents, you can't force somebody to be a certain way. So it's got to happen with the high school. Ultimately, they need to change regulations. And I know I'm not just speaking about my high school. I mean, the dropout rates aren't just coming from the South or the West of America. It's from the East, South, West. It's all over. And I was actually I was laughing when I was reading some of the states that had some of the highest dropout rates. I thought it was funny because it is all over the state, and they made it seem like, oh, it's only here and there and a couple thousand high schools all throughout the state. I mean, come on. It's the entire state has, our entire country is the leading factor to the dropout rate in the entire world. We are the leading factor of don't give a shits. And if we want to get back to being the highest inventors, because that's what we were known for. We were known for innovation on the turn of America. And now we're known as what? We have the worst product line for cars. I mean, we think it's great, but come on. Look at the European cars. You could get like 50 miles off of so little gas. In China is everybody beat. When was the last time you bought something that wasn't made in China? We need to get back to innovating, creating new things for China to make. And we can't be innovators if everybody's sitting around on their butt saying, I don't care. It's not my fault. I come from a poor family. Obama's a good example, actually. A lot of people are talking bad about Obama and how he's raising the way that the statistics are being analyzed to make it seem like unemployment has dwindled when it's actually the same. He just changed how it's being calculated. People might be complaining about stuff like that, but he's a really good example of how you can come from nothing and really become somebody. So to all those high schoolers out there listening to this, don't start pointing the finger at everybody else, man. Point the finger at yourself. And high schools need to get more involved with their students. Because even if I say that they need to point the finger at themselves, they're not gonna. Not until high school starts poking their nose into the students' business. And if the students don't like it, too bad. We gotta get tough with people. It's gotta be like World War I all over again.